Hello, Dental 18 listeners. This is Kiera, and today I have such a special guest. I love this woman so much. She's been a client of ours. She's been a dear friend of mine. This woman just makes you want to be a better human, and she's an incredible dentist, has some really fun ideas. I want her to come on and just share like a super unique way she runs her practice and just let you guys know this woman who I've just been so lucky to know for so long. Welcome to the show, Christy Moore. How are you today, Christy?
I'm doing great, Kiera. Thank you so much for that introduction. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
I'm doing really, really well. It's been a podcast full day, but it's been fun. You're my last podcast of the day, so always an exciting thing. But Christy, you're such an incredible human. I feel like the world needs more Christys. So I feel like you should tell them a
Oh,
little bit
thank
about
you.
who you are, where you're practicing, a little bit about your journey to practice ownership. And then, like I said, she's doing something so special that so many offices are trying to do that can't do it successfully. And Christy, you've done it. So just kind of tell everybody, like, how did you get into dentistry? What's kind of your path to where we are today?
Yeah, so I actually started in dentistry all the way back in 1995, which was quite a few years ago. I started out as a dental assistant and then went to hygiene
That's why I
school.
like you. I had no clue you were
Yeah,
a dental assistant. This is why we connect, Chrissy. All right. It
yeah.
says so much about you now. I get it. I understand.
So I did hygiene for about 10 years, and then I went to dental school. Got out of dental school in 2012 and knew that I wanted to own my own practice and came out of the gate purchasing a practice from a previous Dr. Moore, no relation. We still kind of get people wanting to
Oh,
know, like, if that's my dad or my uncle. There's no relation whatsoever. But came out in 2012, bought my own practice, and started right out of the gate being an owner at that point.
wow. That's incredible. And do you regret it? Because so many students straight out of school are like, like, I don't think I'm ready. And most of them are like, no, just buy. Are you so glad you bought right from the get go? Or do you wish you would have like done an associateship if you could do it all over again?
I'm glad that I bought straight out of the gate. I kind of had an idea of like how I wanted to run the practice. I think being in dentistry for a few years before I even went to dental school, I knew what I liked, I knew what I didn't like. So being able to just start out and then own my own practice and then kind of build it from there was kind of nice. I didn't go in and change things immediately. The previous owner had been there for 40 years, and so like I kind of slowly started implementing things and changing things. Like he didn't even have computers. So, you come out, they were still scheduling on the little piece of, the book where you had to like erase
Yep.
it and all that stuff.
Yep.
So, we didn't even have internet in the building, and I come from like having internet.
2012?
Yes, yes, 2012. So it was an event to get things up to par. But I'm so glad that I did it that way because the team that I lost team members, of course,
Of
but then the
course.
team members that stuck it out with me, like I still have one to this day, and she's one of my ride or dies, and just love her to death.
That's amazing. And I think that that's something like I can't imagine. I mean, this is a true definition of a sleeping practice, Christy. Like I tell everybody, like you want to buy a sleeping practice, like paper charts. I've never had anybody with no internet. And when I first started assisting, so let's think it would have been in 2003. So that's when I first started. We had a paper book and they like erased it, but that was
Hmm.
2003. I mean, you were multi years post that and
Oh yeah,
still yeah, and I remember like erasing, like Terry was her name up front. It was my first office. They had the like suction where you had to spit in it. I thought it was disgusting, but I'm like, sweet, now I don't have to worry about the uvula. Like, I have no way to suction as an assistant, so that was kind of handy for me, but also disgusting. But I remember like erase it out. I'm like, this seems so archaic, but
yes,
YOLO. So
yes.
here we go. Wow. Okay. So then you bought the practice in 2012. No, nothing. Kind of walk me through your practice journey. Like, where did you go? Like, how many team members? What was kind of I mean, you basically had like nothing but up from where you started. So that was a positive, like internet,
Yes,
paper
yes.
charts. Like, so kind of walk me through. You started there. Where are you now today? What does your practice kind of look like? And then I'm going to ask another question. I just want to like get to that. Then I have another one.
Yeah. So when I started out, I bought the practice, and we had two hygienists, an assistant, and a lady up front. And when I came in and told them that we
If
were
I
going to
wanted to
go,
die. But you're like, I'm
yeah.
going to take away your paper and pencil. And she's like, what?
Oh, yeah. She quit immediately. Like I told her we were going to get the computers, and she turned in her notice. So
I
yeah,
believe it.
that was immediate. So that was like the first change I had to overcome. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was always funny because every time we had a change, things just got better. Things got better each time, you know. And like even like one of the hygienists that I had, I told him we were going to get digital X-rays, you know, because we still had the old school X-rays for a while. When we went and got the digital X-rays, she prayed that Jesus would come back because she didn't want to have to do the training. I was like, seriously, like you prayed that so that we didn't have to do the training. But yeah, just people don't really like change. I found out. So
No, not at all. Wow. I mean, I used to pray. I remember telling a dentist, I had a really strict dentist on our x-rays. And I remember saying, like, I hope I can make it into heaven if I can't pass x-rays off with you. Like, I had a lot of sass as an assistant. And that was what I was praying for Jesus for, but not to not have to learn it. Because
yeah.
honestly, man, because in dental school, like assisting school, I learned on film, like, which is so
Mm-hmm.
embarrassing because I don't feel like I'm really that old, but like truly I did. I remember taking the x-rays on Dexter. And then when I went to a
Oh
practice and
yeah.
it had digital, I'm like, hallelujah. You can actually see where your misplacement of your x-ray machine is. I'm like, this is
Yes.
so much faster. Like rather than waiting for it to come through, and then you're like, oh shoot, we code
Yeah.
cut and I had no clue. Like I can't imagine why anybody would be stressed to learn that because I'm like, it was so much easier than
Yes.
film. So much easier.
Yes, absolutely. But that was the thing. Like, I think that you were a better, you know, X-ray taker before because you did not want to have to wait, you know, 5 minutes and then retake it and wait another one. So you're like, okay, I want to make sure that I know how to do this and do this efficiently so that I don't have to take it again.
I mean, maybe that is what, because I was the one who actually trained a lot of the Midwestern students on radiology. They were having the doctors teach it. And I was like, listen, guys, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I know you're not good at this. And I'm actually really good at this. So why don't I teach these doctors how to like crush their FMX rather than you like, I'm like, you cone cut left and right, guys. Like,
Yes.
again, nothing personal. I'm just really good at this. So, but yeah, maybe that's why, because I did learn on film originally and then went to like digital. But okay, so you go through this, you have an assistant praying for Jesus to come, so she doesn't have to do this.
Yes. Yes.
uh just go. Okay, now where are you at, Christy? Where's life on the
So
practice for you?
now we practice in Sweetwater, Tennessee. So it's a small rural town. I have no idea how many people are there, but it's not a whole lot. But it's funny because now we have 3 doctors. I think we have 4 assistants. We have 4 hygienists, a treatment coordinator, an office manager, and an insurance coordinator, and 2 girls up front.
So, and she has internet and likes computers. So we're good on
Yes,
that. That's incredible.
yes.
You went from 2 to 4. And are you working on a second location? I feel like I've heard from Tiffany, like there's a mix with your friend, but like, is there a second location, just a solo location? What's kind of your plan with that?
It's a solo location, but I do have a friend that I went to dental school with, and she actually is working in an office that's really just kind of down the street from me. And so I've been helping her quite a bit with that because she didn't really want to like run the practice or anything like that. And so I was like, well, I'll help you all that I can. So that's what we're kind of doing there. But it's an
It's
endo
amazing.
practice, and I do not want to do endo at all.
You're like, we will stay good friends. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. And
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
refer all my endo patients to you.
exactly. And I know Tiff just loves you. She loves coming to you. I know something that you have highlighted for me, like just in my time knowing you, is one, you're always so positive and you're so fun. You make me laugh. But I think about your Christmas parties, like your holiday parties with your team. It's like sleepover at Christy's house, which
Yeah.
most doctors would never do that. And I just love you. Like, oh yeah, they love it. They come over, we do party, we have a slumber party, which I just think says a lot about you. So I'm curious, Christy, like something I think you do really well. Don't worry, there is a teaser. I want you guys to hear something she does really special, but I think you also do incredible for culture. What would you say to like owner doctors going from where you were to where you are today, having the culture that you've built? What are some of the tips that you think you've done specifically as the owner and with your team to have this amazing culture that you run, Christy? Like you just have a fun culture that's amazing.
I think that my biggest thing is that I just try to treat people and treat my team the way I would want to be treated. You know, I was a team member for so long that that's all that I really knew. And sometimes I think it kind of came back and bit me a little bit just because I did allow things to go on a little bit longer, some in the beginning. But I think treating people the way that I wanted to be treated has just been my motto for everything. The same way it was like dental stuff. Like I do for people in their mouth what I would want done in my mouth. So I think if you live by those rules, then, how can you go wrong?
No, I agree with you. And Chrissy, this is just like your Southern hospitality. I'm always like, I want to go to Sweetwater and just have you be my dentist and work for you. Like, just an amazing place that you do. And I think kudos to you for doing that. I have a question. If you were to go back to 2012, you're buying this practice, what would be like the one, two, or three? I'll allow up to three things that you would tell yourself to get into place or things to know. Because I think so many owners are maybe where you were in 2012. Again, probably have Wi-Fi and probably have at least a computer in the practice. But you never know. I'm always shocked at what I walked into this office. He's elite. You know him. He's in our group. And I walked into his practice. I've been coaching for like this man is doing really, really well in his practice. And I walked in and I was like, you have paper charts? Like you didn't bother to tell me for a year that this was maybe an issue? And he was like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, it is not fine. Like,
It
what
is
are you
not
doing?
fine.
Like, let's get you updated real quick. Kudos to him. I don't think usually doctors are that open to changing, and he did. So, like, mad kudos to him. But I was like, Chrissy, I'll tell you off podcast air who this was, and you will be shocked too. I'm like, wait, what? He's so like up to date on things. And I was like, okay, here we are. But if you could tell yourself back in 2012, what are like one, two, or three things that you feel would just be good tips of advice for someone buying a practice or taking over a team or the growth you've had in the last 13 years to get to the level that you are? Because you're still happy, you still love dentistry, you still enjoy it. Like there's still sparkle in your eye. You don't like every time you come to our calls, I don't feel like Christy's like dead on the ground, like she hates her life. Like I know you have moments of that, but I still think you're very happy. So what would be some things you would tell yourself going back into that back in 2012?
I think one of the biggest things, and this is like no plug for the dental aid team or anything like that, but I did not get a coach until about 3 years out of practice. So I had practiced 3 years. I really wasn't growing. I really wasn't like going backwards, but I really wasn't growing or anything like that. And so at that point, that's when I actually brought on a coach. And I didn't bring on a coach because I was seeking one out. I had one just kind of show up at the office. And then it's like he's here, like I can't like say, oh, she's busy, because he's sitting out in the reception room like waiting for me. And so like, but it was one of the best things that I did. It was hard, just because um, they offer advice that works for like a generalized group of dentists, and so being able to take some of that advice but also being able to put my own spin on it, helped me out. And I probably listening to the coaches a little bit more than what I did, because they did allow grace for me to like drag my feet a little bit, because there was things that had to be done that I didn't really want to do. I've been on the disc profile forever, so I'm definitely an IS. So I
Yes, you
don't
are.
like to rock the boat, and I like to have a good time. So like having tough conversations is one of the things that I do not like to do. So the other thing that I think that I would probably do is like make sure that I'm reading more books, learning how to be a leader, and how to have those conversations, how to have it in a way that it's not like, oh, I'm being the bad guy, or I'm having to, like be mean to somebody, but actually being able just to talk to them, and just a conversation. And I've heard you say this a million times, it's a conversation, not a confrontation. And just knowing that, because being clear is kind. And I was not always as clear as what I needed to be. I just wanted everybody to have fun and like me. And so I let things go that probably shouldn't have been able to continue. So that's probably the two biggest things, is just working on myself as a leader, and bringing somebody in to help me a little bit earlier. I'm glad that I did bring somebody in at 3 years, just because like I knew I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was like, well, I know I think I need to be growing a little bit more than what I am, being right out of dental school. So bringing somebody in, that was definitely something I'm glad I did. I just wish I would have done it a little bit sooner.
Sure. And Chrissy, I'll take all the plugs. Like, of course, this dental aid team, like, yeah, having a coach is always a good thing. We love you as a client. And Tip, I know, has really just watched you grow. And I do think that having someone teach you what you don't know. And I mean, Chrissy, you came in with a lot of experience. So even like dentists who weren't assistants, weren't hygienists, I mean, you already came with a pretty good dental pedigree chart to you. To have that, I agree. And even for me, I'm like, I coach businesses, and yet having a coach, having someone guide me that's been there, done that successfully, I think is so helpful. And I agree. The leadership piece, it's like, well, you did 4 years of dental school to learn how to get that prep, get that crown. It's like, well, let's also do at least that amount of time to be leaders. And leadership is not like something you end up at and you get your degree. It's a
No.
forever journey. So it's like, all
Yeah.
right, here we are. Let's settle in. Like, this is what we elected to do. But Christy, I do, and Tiff will say that she's watched you grow a lot, which is really fun for us to see you grow and evolve too. But I've teased this out a couple of times. Christy has the Botox practice. Like she actually has done it. She's cracked the code. So many offices are like, no, I only have Botox in here to do my own face. So Christy, I want to talk about this because I've been jonesing to talk about this. I secretly want to know too, but how on earth have you cracked the code to get Botox to be a profitable portion, a big piece of your practice? Because I think like everybody wants to do this and no one knows how to do it. Like literally, I think you are my first office to ever actually have it be successful. So Chrissy, take us away on Botox. I know people, I'm like, I've just been waiting to drop this because I'm like, it's going to be so great. No one knows how to do this other than Christy Moore. So let's like, let it rip.
Well, the thing too is like anybody can do it. Like if I can do it in Sweetwater, Tennessee, like anybody can do this anywhere. Actually, I started with the first course that I ever took was probably, I think it was like 2016 or something like that. And the only reason I took the course was because I had the girls in the office wanted me to do it and a couple of
Always.
patients. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I went and took the course. And while I was at the course, I ended up signing up for the TMD course like the next day. Like that wasn't even on the plan, but I went ahead and signed up for that. And that was like a true passion for me just because I was like, oh, wow, like this does more than just, helps with wrinkles. This can actually help patients. This is problems that they're having when they come in the office. And so like I did that part and then I come back to work and it's like, okay, now what? So like one of the things that I started doing was I was like, okay, girls, you got to get in the chair. We're going to do some Botox on you. And so that was kind of how it started. I did the team members. I had a few steady patients that would come in, but it really didn't go quick. It was a slow going thing at first. And then I started talking to patients about, TMD issues, clenching and grinding. They're coming in with headaches. Men typically don't have pain associated with it, but a lot of women do. And so I would say, oh, well, you know what? Like what's really helped me is that I can, go in here and treat your masseters and with some Botox there. And then that can help you, quit clenching and it helps with headaches. Like, I'm going over that. And then their next thing out of their mouth is, oh, well, if you can do, my masseters, can you help my face too? And I'm like, oh, well, actually, yes, we can help you out there. And then it just kind of a little bit more, a few more patients, word of mouth. And it really wasn't until probably about 2 or 3 years ago, we're just doing more and more people. And then I brought in a marketing person who's actually my daughter. And she's my treatment coordinator as well. And she's just really put it out there on social media. And she got these PowerPoints together, and this is what we play. Like it's in the reception room, it's in all the treatment rooms, and it's just like what can be done, what all we offer. And so from 2016 to now, like we've moved from just doing like Botox, but we kind of do like all the stuff. We do filler, we do threads, we do smooth threads, we do lifting threads, we do micro needling, and then we recently just got a laser as well. So, that's one of the things that just kind of getting the word out and letting people know is the biggest hurdle, and that was probably the biggest thing that helped us for sure about getting the word out. Now we have people that call in, and like we just recently had a guy call in, and he wanted to get a coupon. Want to know if we had, coupons for the wife because he wanted to give her a gift certificate for Botox. He found us online. So just getting the word out there is probably the hardest thing, but it's the best thing to do. And, treating your team members and because they're walking advertisements, and who better to practice on than your team members? Because, if you mess up, which you can, they're more forgiving, and then you get, the next time around you get another little chance to do it a little bit better, and then you're like, okay, now you're learning. So not only are you getting the advertisement out there, but you're learning as you go too. And I've done like all kinds of training, and I don't just go with one person. Like I've done like several different, like I've done faces, I've done metastatics, I've done the AAFE. I did a couple of different like individual people, because I feel like if you can learn from everybody and take a little bit from everybody, and then you bring it in and make it your own. And I think that's kind of what we've done at our little office.
I love it, Chrissy. Okay, let's talk about it. A few things I've noticed is you guys have a big Botox sign in your practice. Like I think it's hot pink. Is this really true? I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure I thought I got you right. Okay.
Yeah, we have a
So
slideshow, and it's got all the talks, it's got everything on there. Yeah,
yeah. So
the
one thing
neon
is
sign.
it's neon. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like it's like a tube neon Botox across her wall sign that I'm like,
says
okay,
let's
number
talks
one,
about it.
yes. Like
Yeah,
this is what I'm talking about when you want to market something and people are like, I can't get Botox. And I'm like, well, nobody even knows that you even do it. So Christy, you're like loud and bold about it's a hot pink sign that I
oh
remember it.
yeah,
I saw people under it. I've seen it on your social. But one of the other things, like how else, I also love that you talked about you treatment plan it in. Like you as a dentist are treatment planning this Botox in, looking at their masseter muscles, just like anything else. I feel like you've done a really good job of pulling that in to just even do it clinically, not just aesthetically, which I think that's also really great. But what would you say if I'm a new dentist, and I also love that you have taken it from so many people, because I did have someone give me Botox and I full blown got a halo. Like it was so thick, it was so heavy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never had, like, I need my eyebrows off my eyes. Like get
yeah.
that up. It feels terrible. So I'm glad to hear that you're like just constantly going, but what would you say? Okay, new dentist, I just took the course. I'm super excited. I think one, have it bold. Two, do the masseters, because that's a very easy way to start treatment planning and talking about it for word of mouth. But what else would you say to do? Like, I mean, you got the whole PowerPoint. So what would you say would be avenue one, two, or three to really grow this to get it as a big portion of my practice?
Um, Working on friends and family, working on your team, like that's the number one thing. And then just getting it out there on social media, like having your team, like even if you're doing injections on them, like videoing that, like getting out there and doing stuff. And like Lakin, she makes me do things that like is uncomfortable for me. And so she's like, oh, you'll be fine, you're gonna get out here and you're gonna do it. Like she did like a Facebook live where I'm doing filler, and she asked me a question and I don't answer her. And she's like, what? I was like, well, maybe I didn't know the answer. So if I don't know the answer, I'm just not going to answer you. And she's like, well, it's okay. I'm just doing, filler words here. We're just trying to make the conversation go. And I'm like, okay. But, getting out there and just letting people know, like that is the biggest thing. It's new to our practice. It's let's do specials. Like we've done Botox parties. We did like a sips and scans and Botox. Like we've done kind of all types of little things where we've actually give people discounts just to get them in. We've actually gone out and gave like little coupons out to like the different salons in the area, just trying to get the word out there any way that we can to let people know, hey, we're doing this. Who's going to know your face better than anybody than a dentist? I mean, we have like a whole semester on just head and neck anatomy. And so like it's just the thing that they're like, oh, well, I didn't know a dentist could do that. And it's like, well, yeah, like we're probably really good at doing it. Just because we do know the muscles, we do know everything, as far as like this works this way, this works that way, making sure that you're treating the patient, not just the face, like making sure that because I do have people come in and they're like, oh, well, I want some Botox up here. And it may be like older ladies, and like they've already got the hooded eyelids, and I'm like, honey, I can't do a lot of Botox up there. Like I can take away your wrinkles, but if I do that, like you're not gonna be able to hold your eyelids up. Like so it's gonna make it harder for you to see. When they're like, oh, well, I don't want that. So just kind of knowing your anatomy, knowing what muscles do what, and then not being afraid to go in and just try it. Just get in there and do it. It's not, even if you think you've messed somebody up, I mean, it's what, 3 months, so
Exactly.
it's not anything that, you can't recover from. And then patients are very forgiving. They're very understanding. In my time of doing it, I've had 2 people that I've actually give like a little crooked smile to. And like both of them are like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And like, I feel horrible. And they're like, oh no, it's okay, it'll be better, it's not really that noticeable. And I'm like, well, I notice it, so just doing it because people, they want it, they don't want to go anywhere else, they want you to be able to do it, and if you can do it, then why not?
Mhm.
So I think that just not being afraid just to try it and do it, and just even if you're scared, like do it scared. Like I heard some, I seen that the other day, and it was like, I'm nervous every time I get up and speak in front of somebody, and they're like, well, how do you do it? He said, I just get up and do it scared. I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
that's so, interesting, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I'm scared, I'm not going to do it. And so if you don't do it, you're never going to not get scared, or not get, you got to get comfortable. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's the only way to do it, is just to get in there and do it.
I agree. Christy, I love that. And I love that you just talked about, like, I think something that you did differently is you decided this would be a portion of your practice. It's not just for the ladies in the practice. You're like, no, we're going to have this as a portion. We're going to make this like it's a full procedure in our office. I'm not just doing it for like our team. And I think that that's something where you went in with that attitude. I think there's a huge passion that you have on it. But I agree. I like there's girls like, Kiera, who does your Botox? I'm like, the dentist. And they're like,
Hmm.
what? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I also love dentists because I went to a dentist versus an esthetician versus an MD. I've gone through three different people. The esthetician gave me the most amount of Botox. That's the one where I got the hood. Like, believe it or not, she's the one who gave it to me. And like the amount of Botox she put in me was incredible. Then I went to an MD who was doing it. And he also, like, it was a lot. Like, my face was frozen solid, frozen. And I'm like, all right. So we are like, whoosh. He did Brotox, which that's a good phrase. I think that if you wanted to target the men, he called it Brotox for the
Hmm.
men, which I thought was super clever. But my husband, even like, he could not move his face at all. So it was a little, in my opinion, excessive. But dentists, I feel, are more conservative on the Botox level. You don't tend to go quite as much as the estheticians or the MDs, which I appreciate. Like you said, you know the muscles, you know the anatomy super well. And I think, like, go for it, have it as a portion. So with your numbers, because Christy, I know you know your numbers, like what percentage of your practice does Botox bring in? Do you know that? I could be putting you on the spot. So maybe I'm like your daughter and I'm asking you questions you don't know.
Yeah. I'm not really 100% sure, to be honest with you. I would say it's at least, probably at least 10%.
I think so too.
I would like for it to be more, and that's one of my goals, is to get that side of the business to be, grow and be more. Because, like, for me, like, as a dentist, we hear all the time, I hate the dentist. Oh, no offense, but I hate the dentist. Are you going to stick that needle in my mouth? Are you going to stick that in my gums? I've never had one person ever say, I hate my injector. Are you going to stick that
True.
needle in my face? Like, no, they love you. They want, and they will pay money for it. You don't have to worry about insurance, when you're doing that part. So I would definitely like for that to be more. Like, if I could have my whole day just doing like the aesthetic stuff, like that would be my ideal day.
That's
Because
amazing.
it's almost like it's like a masterpiece. You've got this canvas, and you're not changing people. You're just enhancing what they already have. Like, I don't want to go in. My goal is that when somebody leaves the practice, that they don't actually look like they've had Botox, or they don't look like they've had filler. I want them to look fresh, not frozen, like you said. And so, like, that goes back to, like, knowing the muscles, watching the patient, treating the actual patient, instead of like the cookie cutter. Oh well, to treat the glabella, you need 20 to 24 units. To treat the frontalis, you need 20 to 24 units. It's like, okay, well, they pull really hard here, but they don't really pull hard here, so let's treat it this way. And
Mhm.
so, like, so because each one of them are like FDA approved for a certain amount, and
Right.
that's like the standard, but everybody's different. And so that's why, I just want to make sure that I treat the patient the way the patient needs to be treated.
Amen. And I love that about Kristen. I think, like, okay, I just did some math. So let's say you have $1 million practice, 10%, that's 100 grand pulling in, which I know, Christy, your practice is not the $1 million practice. You guys can do the math, you can figure it out. But like, if it's 10%, think about that. That's an extra 100,000. The overhead on it's pretty minimal. It's a great piece. Like you said, you're able to do these extra pieces. And you're right, there's no insurance. People pay top dollar to stay looking young. It's incredible. Like, I also was thinking of there's people all around here and they're called like the injection queen, or they're like, so it's like really on their social media. It's not just their dentistry piece, but it's this whole portion of aesthetics that people then are coming for it because they want to look good. I saw an office, a dental practice, and they literally have a Botox membership plan. And I was like, that is freaking
We have
clever.
that.
Yeah. Tell us
Yeah.
about it. Okay. Tell more about this. How does it work? And do people really sign up for it? Because I think it's so smart.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they sign up for it. And so of course, I don't try to, reinvent the wheel. I got it from somebody else. But it's basically a membership plan. They pay for 20 units for the year. So it's 20 units for 4 times throughout the year. If they don't use it, they lose it. But once they pay for that, so their initial upfront payment is probably a little bit more, but it ends up saving them about $300 throughout the year. But it actually, like, they pre-play for 20 units each time. And so, it's just, and then they get a discount on the actual dollar amount that they actually get. So, like if you have somebody that typically gets 50 units, then they only have to pay for 30 units each time that they come in. So it actually, and I tell them, like, they're like, oh, that's a whole lot better, because then my husband don't ask questions on, it's less about. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I've had people like actually even like put money in, like pay throughout just so that they have it. And that's when I was like, well, why don't we do a membership plan? Like that makes it a whole lot easier.
Yes.
So, and I wanted to reward my patients that have been loyal, that have been coming in. Times are changing, and so prices go up, and so like I didn't really want to have to like increase my price just because I've been doing it for a while. I've really not changed my price, and I didn't want to have to change my price. So my people that have been coming in and loyal to me, I wanted to be able to give back to them, and give them the opportunity to keep it at the price that I was doing it for. And so that was one of the other benefits for me, is so that I could actually give back to those people that trusted me with their face, when I was still learning and stuff. And so it's worked out really well. I don't know how many people we have on it now, but we get people like just about every day when they come in. We'll have at least like one or two a week that'll sign up on the membership plan.
Which is so smart, because Botox is like better than Profies. Like they have to come in every 3 months rather than every 6 months. It is something where, I'm not gonna lie, like my husband, it was random. He did tell me, like, I got it done, and a couple of days later, he didn't know, because I get it on the road, Chrissy. I'm one of those. I mean, I work with a lot of dentists, so when I'm traveling around, I get my face frozen. And I came home, and my husband's like, "Gosh, Kiera, you look a lot better. Like, what did you change your hair?" And I was like, "No, my face just looks younger, and you can definitely tell, and I appreciate that." And when you get that reinforcement, you're like, "Yes, I'm going to keep up with this, and I want to." And it's the only like proactive preventative way right now. Like there's biohacking on all the levels, but just having that as a piece for it. And so I think it's just an awesome thing to do. I love the membership plan. I love that you're growing it. Like this is where I was saying, like, you have cracked the code on how to do it. And I was like, I've got to dig into this. And I want people to hear, because I think, Christy, it also keeps your excitement for dentistry alive. I think you get passion because it's a new passion project. It's fun for you. It's something different. And I love that you said, like, I want you looking fresh, not frozen. It made me giggle. I'm like, you want me to still look alive rather than dead in my coffin? Like, got it. I agree. That's how I want to feel too. So thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, any other thoughts you have of practices wanting to put in Botox or anything else about your practice? Because this is like the nuts and bolts of what I want to talk about tonight. So any last thoughts you have around it? Because I truly appreciate you just coming on and sharing what you're doing in your practice.
I think the biggest thing is just, you just have to do it. Like I said before, if you're scared to do it, just do it scared. After so many times, it's not as scary anymore. Like we actually have in our schedule, like we have blocks for like our tox patients for them to come in. And so, those may get filled, they may not get filled. But when they get filled, like it's always like, usually an extra anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for just a little extra, that it doesn't really take me that long. Like I come in and I look and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. The girls draw it up, they have it already. I come back in, the face is clean, the photos are taken, we do the injections, and then the patient's out the door. And so it's basically like a hygiene check for me. So I'm in and out quick. And so but the patients have been in there with a team member, so they feel like they're getting heard. They, all of their concerns are being addressed. And so, just having a team there that supports you and believes in you. And like, once they believe in you, then that's how the patients start believing in you.
It's awesome, Christy. I love that so much. And I'm like, Gosh, doctors, when you're complaining to us about your Delta Dental exam pricing, well, maybe throw a little bit of those Botox ones. Like you said, I'm like, $500 exam versus my $30 exam feels a little bit more fun, a little more fun for you. But Chrissy, kudos to it. And all of you listening, I hope you just took notes. You realize like you can add these as portions of your practice and not just like a small sliver, but a true like 10% of your practice, bringing that in, having it be a big portion of it. And like you said, giving back to people. Like I prefer a dentist to do my Botox over an esthetician or an MD. And that's me personally, who's gone to several different people who are the best, people who are over that. And I mean, Botox are paying $10 to $12 a unit with Botox or Dysport. Like that's a pretty good gig all the way around. And I just think it's a fun thing. So Chrissy, thanks for being in our life. These are the things, the way I found out was in our doctor mastermind. We have our doctor only. And I was like, Christy's doing Botox. I want to put her on the podcast and talk about this more. Like, so this is fun stuff to also have you as a client, to have you in our life, to have you in our world. You just bring a wealth of goodness, Christy. So thanks for being on the podcast. I know it was the end of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, of course. Super happy to
Thank
have
you.
you. Of course. And for all of you listening, go figure out how to put Botox in your schedule. Go figure out how to do this. Like, do it scared. Whatever it is for you, do it scared. If we can help in any way, reach out hello@thedental18.com. And as always, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Dental 18 podcast.